Tales from the trenches. Stories forged in the fires of experience.
Physical health and mental health are two characteristics that we typically neglect as technicians out providing for our family. Make sure you have adequate health insurance, and if you need mental health assistance, text or call 988. All right, hello everyone. We're hanging out today with Chris Sullivan. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, we got into a conversation yesterday about all of the topics that we have to cover here at the conference, and one that we never spend enough time diving into is our own health, right?
It is, shockingly, there's not a class taught about it.
Right.
There's not a skill taught about it. And I just hope that by sharing my own story and my experience, that somebody out there listening might change something for the better and maybe be around a little bit longer for their own loved ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we're in the field, we tend to work a lot, right?
We work so hard and we train so hard. We're there to do this for our families, for our loved ones.
We're supporting our families.
And we forget, in essence, to take care of ourselves.
Right.
And that's the irony of it.
Yeah, we're working hard to give a good life for people and sometimes forget to try to give a good life for our own selves.
Absolutely. Wherein if, something, God forbid, should happen to one of us, that take us out of a line of work or that type of thing, no one tells us. I mean, we have the reps if you're in a union, or maybe you're working for a private company that's non-union, but nobody talks about this enough to have the right health insurance, to have the right care, have the right coverage, that type of thing.
I've seen, unfortunately, I have seen technicians that started their own businesses and, got into really having successful businesses and focused on the work because they're just work, and then have a catastrophe hit and then lose everything because they weren't prepared for those potential situations.
Well, and that's in particular who I want to reach out to is not only small business owners, but even if you're a key cog in a multi-million-dollar company or a major corporation, you're still important. You're still important to somebody. In fact, I would wager, just think about this for a minute. You're the best person that somebody knows.
Yeah.
You're the best person somebody knows.
That's right.
And if you fail to take care of yourself, in a way, you're failing to take care of them. Not saying that we're failures, just we can't be careful enough in our own health, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we have to be careful not to set us up for that potential failure. Because we don't know. We're not guaranteed anything.
Absolutely. And I found that way out in a hard way. And so a little over a week ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. To no fault of my own.
Right.
And it just happens and it sucks. And I wish for everyone out there, this is not a woe is me. I will say it publicly, whether you agree with it or not. God is good.
That's good.
And he's watching, or I feel that as I'm going through this. And I just want to say that as I've been through this experience, prepping to go through chemo in the next little bit, it's just one of those things you just don't anticipate ever happening. I'm 43. I was up until September, I ran in half marathons. That was my hobby. That was my out.
Wow.
And you just never know. And that's one of the stories I want to tell was when I got injured running on my way out of the half marathon, or I was training for it. September 9th, I ran on an injury, and I was stubborn and stupid and did it anyway. And us men are a lot like that, right?
Yeah. I'm struggling with that right now, trying to counter that internal demon of myself. My wife constantly reminds me that I still have work to do with that.
Yeah, and we all do. And we're right there with you. If you're struggling with mental health, reach out. But I'm talking like physical health. I was trying to get better, and in that process, I injured myself. I was running down the canyon at 9.5 minutes a mile and just stepped on a rock and stumbled. I almost fell just face first, but I caught myself. And in that process, if you can imagine me, I'm just flailing, and I just caught myself. on the wind down, and then ran the half marathon anyway. And then it just never got better. And so I went in for an MRI, and that's when they found the mass. And it's just everything's kind of snowballed from there.
Sure.
So through no event or fault of your own, you can just encounter these obstacles that just feel so unfair, and it does. But I'm telling you right now that if you don't have life insurance in place, if you don't have proper health care coverage in place, these are all things I wish somebody would have just maybe just beat over my head and lectured me to death on. And unfortunately, about this time where I was going through this running injury, my wife changed our insurance. She felt prompted to change our insurance to a plan that we could afford. And it was a plan that had really, really good coverage if something were to happen to me. Because if we weren't in the midst of this miracle that we're experiencing right now, and I say miracle, I mean, I have cancer, it sucks, you know, and I'm here at the conference surrounded by so many amazing people and so many amazing things that I'm learning and trying to push forward and push through. And many of us go through so many things we just don't tell other people about.
Bundle it up.
I'm just hoping that by being vulnerable for a little bit, that somebody out there listening to this might change that one aspect that you've like, hey, I've got to change this. Y'all are so smart with your heating and air conditioning, inverter heat pumps this, and your engineers that, and whatever you're dealing with. But take a second and step back and take care of your families and take care of your health is just what I'm pleading for. Because if you can take a step back and just focus on you for a minute, as bad as it sucks, because if you don't, something will happen and it'll force you to do it anyway.
And catch you off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear those stories regularly. And unfortunately, many of us, especially when we're in our 20s, maybe in our early 30s, we don't look at us being injured.
No.
We don't even fathom what that would look like. So we don't prepare for it.
Well, and how can you, right? Things are going good. You're working hard. You're working your butt off. You're kicking butt, taking names. And then out of the blue, I mean, a week ago, you find out some of the worst news in your entire life. And that's what happened to me. And again, I'm not saying poor me, but I'm just saying is that if somebody can take and just change something, maybe get better health care coverage, maybe improve life insurance, set your family up for success. The number one thing piece of advice I'd offer to anybody is just get out of debt. Yeah. Just get out, because we're dealing with some stuff that's unfortunate. And I wish they would have taught that somewhere in a trade class. Just don't get into debt. Don't go buy that truck. Don't go buy that expensive tool. Yes, you've got to have tools to provide, and don't buy the trailer you don't need. Don't buy the equipment you don't need. If something doesn't feel right, is off, listen to that. You guys know what's going on in your businesses, but take a step back, take care of yourselves, take care of your health. That matters and has to be so important, because you've got families, you've got others. And again, I'll say it again, you're the best person somebody knows. And to not have that either taken care of, think of what would happen if it was somebody gone from somebody's life and you're the best person they know, what that would do to them. Maybe that course of action will help you change something for the better and for the positive in your life.
Absolutely. I had a conversation, it was actually, it was a year ago. It was at the 2023 National HVAC Education Conference, and I was spending some time with my good friends, Rob Vilchis over at the United Association and Brian Kelly, and we were talking about the UA and some things that the UA does for members that they don't realize at the time. That part of the UA's design is to have many of these aspects in play. So your insurance, having investments, having things in play in those early years of your career, that you don't know that you need. And due to, years of experience, they've realized that that is part of your membership, is to make sure that you have all those benefits in play, because most young technicians, men or women, don't focus on it. Traditionally, women focus on it more than men do. But in that early stages in life, both men and women are ill prepared because we don't think of those potential outcomes. And so the UA focuses on doing that. And I had so much respect when we started talking about that, and we started looking at what union dues do. My father actually retired as an operator, heavy machinery operator, and I got to witness what those benefits did for him later in life. But I can only fathom, earlier in life, how much that could be of benefit. I myself went non-union in my career, and it wasn't until I was in my 30s and realized, oh man, I've missed so many. There's a lot of things I really wish I would have done better, and then I realized that part of that is that in that age, we just aren't wired. Our brains have not matured to the point of being prepared for those scenarios. And it's a very important thing to be aware of.
Absolutely. And for the young guys that are considering what to do, the union is a terrific option. I wish I would have chosen this many years ago. I've worked in the private sector my whole life. And so 20 years experience in the residential heating and air conditioning world is where I reside. And so we work in Utah, where it's a right to work state.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so not that there's not unions there, I could have been a part of it, but looking back, I mean, that would change things significantly for me now.
Right.
Fortunately, we have decent enough healthcare coverage.
Awesome. Fortunately,
we have, there are things that are not going to be without their challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
But even if you work privately, there are options available to you that maybe just ask for advice. And that's one thing I don't get with guys in particular. We're so stubborn.
What?
It's so
I'm gonna let my wife hear this. She's not gonna hear me agree that I'm stubborn.
Well, my wife already knows that. There's things we can't say on here that she calls me. But don't be afraid to ask. No. Because there's somewhere, just like somebody asks you to go in and fix their equipment or repair, just like you're an expert there. There are experts around that are just wanting and willing to help, and don't take that for granted. Ask maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There is a difficult thing in vulnerability, and it's called pride.
And I have had to have many moments where I have to set that aside and just say, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
And this has been one of those moments, where I've got 4 kids. My oldest is married and my youngest is 13. And so we decided to have kids early on in our relationship. And then now looking at this, I'm just, as you're staring death right in the face, it changes you, changes your perspective. And so just, that's what I'm trying to say is take care of yourselves, guys. You're worth it. Somebody out there thinks you are, and you are. And somebody believes in you. Somebody took a risk and hired you. That's got to be worth something. Take care of that. Take care of you. And please just watch out for these types of things. And so I'd say is look at your mortgage. There's something called mortgage insurance, where if you have an accident, I wish I'd known about this, and it rendered you unable to work, they'll pay off your mortgage if you get a terminal illness or something like that. And so there are just so many things where we're looking back. Make sure you have the right amount of life insurance coverage. And you just don't think about that, but get with someone that knows what they're talking about. Research the plans, know what you're saying yes to, know what you're saying no to. Become educated. You don't have to become an expert. Leave that to the experts. You're the expert in your field. whether it's some type of trade work, et cetera, et cetera. But that's who I'm particularly talking about, is the skilled tradesmen who need to be around for their families that they're providing for. So life insurance, and then make sure that your medical coverage is where it needs to be. And so just review that. You don't have to be top of mind, and I'm not saying fill it full of worry, but just be cognizant of it every now and again. And just, if, you know, one of the things running that did for me is I'm 100 pounds down from where I used to be.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I still remember when I decided to make that change, I was really just very angry with myself. And I just dumped the soda, and 4 years later, I haven't touched soda.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And so, when I began running, I couldn't even walk a half mile. Just couldn't. Just things weren't working right. And there are many, many, many times. I've had COVID 4 times. I've recovered from a traumatic brain injury. There are just been so many obstacles and challenges along the way, where if you don't feel like it's worth going on, it is not going to be easy. You know, everybody's got their stuff they've got to deal with.
We all got baggage.
Every single one of us. And if you're saying you don't, you're lying. There's something somewhere. Take care of it before it becomes an issue.
Absolutely.
Because like I say, you're the best person somebody knows. Might be your kids. It might be the neighbor that's watching you that you don't even know about. But you mean something to somebody, and that's important. So stay around, stay healthy, watch for those things in life. If you don't know how to balance a checkbook, learn. You know, watch your money, be wise with it. May I get the hell out of debt? You know, avoid it like the plague. Because we have some debt, but we had been working on the process for a little bit to improve our finances. And nobody's really born with a silver spoon in trades, right? We're all just hardworking guys and gals that are just trying to make a better improvement for our lives and for somebody. But if you can ensure that you're taking care of yourself, man, you can live a long, healthy life. And even if it's fraught with challenges, okay, you have challenges, but people care, and that's the message that I wanted to deploy today.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it, Chris Sullivan.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, my friend.
You too, and thanks for the time. I love the show. So
we're glad to have you with us.
Geeking out when I seen you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you.